We are back here on the program. John Pollock and Robin Black with you, counting down to the UFC's return to Canada and their first card in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, going down Sunday night, August the 23rd. Frankie Perez is going to be in action against the man who joins us on the line right now. He is Sam Stout, who is getting set. Is this surreal, Sam? Fight number 20 inside of the UFC.
The big 2-0.
Man, we get so old so quickly. 20 fights. That's a real landmark for any fighter in the UFC.
Yeah, man, it's something I'm pretty proud of, actually. There's not a lot of guys who have done it, and I feel honored to be in that category.
When you look at 2002, 2003, getting into those early TKO fights and stuff, does it feel like a dozen plus years and 30 fights, or sometimes you feel like the same guy?
You know what? Sometimes it feels like it's all just flown by so quick, and then sometimes, most of the time, it feels like I've been doing this forever. It's literally been half my life.
Yeah.
I've spent fighting and training, so it's been pretty wild, and it's been a good ride, and I think I still got a few good ones left in me.
Tell us a bit about this camp, Sam. Did you primarily stay in London in preparation for this fight? Did you go anywhere?
Did you get Reno Belcastro?
I've been training with Reno again, so I've been bouncing back between London and Windsor a lot, and things have been going great. I've kind of, over the last few camps, I've really been changing up my training a little bit. I was just telling somebody, I was doing these camps and training with the mentality of, trying to have this mentality of a 21-year-old, but my body's 31. So I've had to start training smarter as opposed to harder, and, doing things that are a little easier on my body to get in shape as opposed to always just fighting and grappling and wrestling and just pounding on my body and my joints and stuff. So I feel great. I've got a lot, my energy levels are higher than they have been. I'm getting a lot more out of the workouts that I'm doing. And, instead of having two, workouts where I'm kind of in survival mode, I'd rather do one where I'm, getting on people and I'm beating on people and getting better, Sometimes it's not about how much time you spend in the gym. It's more about what you're doing in that time, right? So, I've taken, kind of revamped my whole training style, and I really feel better than ever.
Even a couple years ago, you were talking about doing things that were easier on your soft tissue and stuff, swimming and yoga and stuff. Is that something you're still putting in there?
Yeah, that's something, I started doing, and I've even been kind of getting more into. So, I was still, I was starting to do those things, but I was adding those things to what I was already doing. So I'm still doing all these other workouts, and now I'm kind of started substituting some of the workouts. And honestly, I'm training a little bit less, but I feel like I'm in way better shape. My conditioning is better. Because I'm not just burnt out all the time, and I was just wasn't giving myself enough time to recover, and I think it was pretty detrimental to my performances in training, sparring, and in the ring, or in the cage rather.
After having, you and KJ fighting at 170 in Quebec City, it was just over a year ago, and then you fast forward to Ross Pearson and that cut down to 155. I know you noted at that time it was a really good cut for you getting down to lightweight. What did you do differently for the Ross Pearson fight and just getting yourself down to 155?
You know what? I just spoke to a few nutritionists and a naturopath, and kind of got some more input, and just it's just been a matter of tweaking things over the years. Just kind of trial and error, and I think I finally got it down pretty much pat.
Speaking of Pat, we were talking to Pat Cote, who's kind of similar stage in his career. He wants to fight, a number more times, maybe a lot more if it keeps going as well as it has been. And Pat kind of focused in on wrestling and having a more complete game and less on getting in there and earning knockout of the night or fight of the night and getting his chin hit and hitting chins. And really, we saw that in his last fight with Joe Riggs. He took him down and he really out-grappled him and stuff. Is that something you look at if you want to fight for 5-6 more years?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I've definitely just like decided, especially with the results of the last two fights, it's like, okay, obviously, you know, as I'm getting older, I don't have that cast iron jaw that I had when I was 22, so I can't stand and stand there and rely on it. You know, both those two guys. That being said, both those two guys were really excellent boxers and two heavy hitters that are, you know, highly ranked guys. But yeah, I've definitely changed some things up, and I plan on, you know, coming in with a more well-rounded game plan and more head movement and more just being more elusive and fighting smarter and not just standing there and going toe to toe. I just can't. My body won't allow me to do that anymore.
Yeah, and I thought that was really evident in the Ross Pearson fight. I know the fight, it didn't go your way, but you saw a lot of the things you just outlined. And just talking to you here, Sam, it seems like over this past year, you've really had a crossroads moment where it was, you know, being forced to reinvent yourself, and you are looking, and it's not just a matter of how many more fights you're going to have. You are looking long term. Was there kind of a sit down decision making process that you had with you and your team of how far you do want to take this?
Yeah, you know, it's kind of, we haven't made any like final decisions of like I got this many fights left or anything like that, but you know, I'm definitely starting to see a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. You know, I'm only 31 years old, so people, I'm still fairly young, but people don't remember that I've been fighting professionally since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I started really young, so I've always kind of thought you have a window in this sport. It's not necessarily, it's more of a shelf life than it is you can do it until a certain age.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll see what happens. You know, I'm taking it one fight at a time right now. I'm not planning my retirement, but I'm also not, banking on being in the sport for the next, 5, 10, or the next 10 years, right? So, yeah.
Reno, who I asked you about, and I know you're training with down in Windsor, he's one of these, there are these guys out there who are brilliant and really talented and really good to work with, who are kind of these hidden weapons, and you found one there for sure in Reno, and you look great in round one versus Ross. But there's one thing, Ramdeen and I were down at Windsor, and we were going to go train with Reno, and instead he fed us a bunch of tequila shots, and we just got really drunk. Does that ever happen when you go train with him?
That doesn't happen during our training sessions, but as soon as the fight's over, the trip home through the airport got a little messy last night. You guys know me. I like to celebrate when the fight's over. So Reno's definitely the same way, and we're kind of cut from the same cloth in that sense. When it's time to work, we work, and when it's time to have a little fun, we do that too. So that honestly is one of the it's not the be all end all, but having a good friendship and that kind of relationship with a coach, I think, is very important. And as you guys know, it was always like that with me and Sean. We were friends, and we were like brothers, or we were brothers.
Yeah.
So that is very important to me. You're traveling with these people. You want to be with somebody that you get along with and have fun with. Because if you're not having fun in this sport, you shouldn't be in it.
Tell us a bit about what you guys have sat down and kind of dissected from Frankie Perez and what you feel you need to do to shut him down, because he's someone that not a lot of people have heard of, but someone that is certainly a dangerous opponent, I feel.
Yeah, he's got some tricky submissions. He's comes from a great camp, so they're gonna have a good game plan. They're gonna be coming prepared. He pulls some interesting threats. He's taller than I am, so he's gonna have some reach. There's a lot of things that are very dangerous about him. We've been working on some things to neutralize that. Getting inside on him, getting in, getting out. Shutting down takedowns, we've been working on a good game plan for the ground, I think, too. And I've had to bring in a lot of opponent-specific sparring partners, and I've been able to do that. So I feel pretty good and confident about the fight.
But at this stage, all these kids are dangerous, but you've been fighting the most dangerous fighters in the world since you were 17, 18 years old. So it's nothing new, right?
Yeah. it's different fighting these young bucks, but I've fought some of the best in the world, man. My last 2 fights have been against high-level guys, and that's just 2 of them, right? 2 out of 20. So I'm not. I think knowing I have all that experience on him gives me an extra little boost of confidence. But that being said, I'm definitely not gonna underestimate him because I know what it's like to be young and hungry too.
Last thing here, Sam, before we let you go, going back to the fight with KJ Noons, and both of you, I just thought it was brilliant on both your parts to be like, listen, we're both walking around here at this weight. Let's cut out the weigh-in portion and just and have a more not relaxing fight week, but taking out all the stresses of weight cutting. Was there a part of you that just kind of thought to yourself, man, would this be so much more enjoyable if everybody just fought at their natural weight? We took out this weight cutting process. It's something that's never going to change within the culture of fighting, but it just seems like something that everyone hates weight cutting, but it's always going to be a part of this sport, and it's the worst part of it.
The thing about it, and we talked about it, it's KJ and I saw each other the day before weigh-ins, and we were both about to start doing the last 24 hours, which is the miserable part where you're doing all the water weight, right?
Yeah.
So we saw each other, and KJ is a good guy that's been in the sport for a long time, and we both, we saw each other and took each other's hands, and there was no bad blood, and we just said, hey, I had been joking. I joked with Jesse Ronson about saying hey, I should just ask him, I'm already miserable. I haven't been eating. I was just dreading this weight cut, and I just joked to Ronson about saying, asking him if he wanted to do it at 170 so we didn't have to do the weight cut. And Ronson's got no filter, so he just said it to KJ, hey, you guys want to just do it at 170 so you don't have to cut? He's like, well, what do you weigh right now? And I said, I'm 166 right now. And he said, yeah, me too. And I was like, okay, well, let's see what they say. And Joe Silva had just gotten off a plane from Australia. The fight was in Quebec, but he wasn't there, so we got him on the phone. He's exhausted. I think we just kind of caught him off guard with it, past him. And I think I don't think anyone will be able to get away with it again. But it was awesome. I got to go out and eat the night before weigh-ins and everything. And what you were saying about why doesn't everyone do it is we talked a lot about it right around the time it happened. The reason that people don't do it every time is because all it takes is for one person to ruin it.
Yeah.
Lie.
Say, okay, we're going to meet at our natural weight, and then somebody just cuts all the weight and then shows up 15 pounds heavier than their opponent, right? It's the only way it would really work is if, you're always scheduled to fight at 155 and you met face-to-face 24 hours before weigh-in and did it the way me and KJ did. Otherwise, people are just, because everyone, how it is. Everyone's looking for that edge. That's why people take steroids. That's why people are doing performance enhancers. Everyone's always looking for that fraction of a percentage of, to get that extra little competitive edge. So, it was a gentleman's agreement. Probably it just isn't going to work for people. There has to be more, some other way of monitoring it and making sure people don't, one person doesn't screw it up for everybody.
Well, man, have fun in Saskatoon. We'll see you there. Tell Reno I owe him some shooters, so you guys will have lots to celebrate, and tell Reno the shooters.
If you're going to be there, I'm sure you guys will be getting into it.
Yeah, we will, man. Have fun.
All right. Thanks a lot, Sam.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Good to talk to you.
Good talking to you, brother.